Hello everyone, it is Christine back, and tonight we're going to be continuing on with blanket stitch and working through some more variations of this stitch. And so our stitch for tonight is blanket stitch pinwheel. So I'll just bring the book down. So it's going to end up looking like that, hopefully. I haven't actually done this stitch before. And so the description says, often called blanket pinwheels, these pretty flowers are formed from closely worked blanket stitches radiating from the centre to form a circle. This method of stitching a flower is particularly suitable for working graceful spires of hollyhocks. Ah, interesting. So I've drawn myself a circle just using a template actually of a button, but you could use anything at all. Mine's slightly misshapen because I was drawing it while it was still in the hoop, but I think it's fine. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I've also just put a little dot in the middle, so I've drawn it with my friction marker. So we're going to start by, it shows in the picture that they're just starting slightly off from the 6 o'clock mark, so just a bit further round on the clock face. So I'll pop out about there. So I've just got my thread here tied at the end. I'm going to go up to the middle. I'm going to hold my thread down, and then I'm going to angle my needle so it pops out closer to that sort of, just a little bit across, sort of a needle width across, I guess, maybe 2 needle widths across from where the thread is. And I'm going to pull it through so that it forms the loop, and essentially that's your blanket stitch, just a long blanket stitch. So that's the first of them, and then I'm going to take the needle from the center to the edge of the circle just right of the stitch that we just did. So we're going to do that same thing of coming through. Again, it is a bit tricky sometimes in the hoop just to be able to angle the needle. So I've just gone around about an equal distance, so about 2 needle widths across, and again just over the thread so that you get that loop. And then we're just going to keep working around doing that. So it doesn't look too tricky so far. So I hope you're all having a great day or a great evening. Now, main thing is we have to keep it over the thread so we get our loop. So maybe I should just keep the thread with my finger while I'm angling my needle. Oops. And going through from the front, not from the back. I don't know what I was doing there. Got a bit confused. So again, just the same distance around the circle, angling ourselves through, and then pulling through. And so you're just getting the outline forming with the button stitches. So really smart little stitch. This one would have definitely been great for doing some of the stitching in down the garden path. I might even have to add some of these in. I've still got to finish off. I know I keep saying it, but I've still got to finish off putting together my second panel with all the different pieces and just adding the embellishments. So I hope you're enjoying blanket stitch. So far it's been pretty good, I think. Although this is only the second, well, the third really, because we did 2 stitches in one. We did the single blanket stitch, and then we did the double variety in that first episode for the blanket. But it's nice not having to stitch the name again. So enjoying that. So again, always just be keeping hold of your thread so that you make sure you get that loop that you need to form. Okay, and then coming through from the center again. Have to make sure I don't miss our little premiere chat time when the last video screens. They'll just be in about sort of 25 minutes, I think. So I better make sure I don't take too long on this video. Have to make sure that I can catch up with those of you that can join the chat. So I think I can hear Travis heading off to, they're just knocking on the bed door, I think, to say good night. I think they missed my little recording sign, my little slow stitched recording sign, but that's okay. I'll go and say good night to them in a moment. Alex tends to go to bed a bit earlier than me. I'm a bit of a night owl. For a while I'd sort of reversed it because I used to go swimming in the mornings and used to get up at 5:20, so I couldn't be a night owl. But I don't do the morning swims anymore since post-COVID times. I now just do the Travis walk. Now, what are we doing as we end? I'm just having a look. So continue working stitches around the circle, gradually turning the fabric as you work. For the last stitch, take the needle from the center to A through same hole. So I think we still need to do, well, actually no, through the same hole. Will that work? Will that be too wide? I don't know. Let's have a look. Oh, that's worked perfectly actually. So we've gone through the same hole as where we started with thread under needle, pull through to anchor, take needle to back over loop. Pull thread through and end on the back. Okay, so yep, that has anchored it. Sounds more complex in the instructions. I'm sure I would have intuitively done that, but when I was reading them, I was like, what's it telling me? Okay, so we'll anchor it at the back. Now it has a final suggestion, which is end off on the back and then work a French knot in the center to complete the flower. So I guess you could always do that in a different color, or oh, I think I'll just use the same color, and I might do a few twists just because it's a hole. There is a hole in the center, so I just want to make sure that we don't pull our French knot through. Sometimes your French knots will try to, might have wound that a little bit tight for my French knots. For a French knot, you do need to be a little bit gentler. So there we go. That is our blanket stitch pinwheel. Seeing we've got a little bit of time, I might just show you how, actually I'll stitch this off first, and just because I did do the French knot quite quickly and we haven't covered French knot yet, just in case you haven't come across that stitch before, I can just give you a quick, a slower demo of it than I did that time because I got a bit overexcited. So let me I'll just grab a new bit of thread, and I'll just grab a scrappy bit of fabric that we can experiment on. Why isn't this thread wanting to come out? Come on, thread. Let's see if I can get some that way. There we go. Okay, so let's give you another demonstration of a French knot. So I'm just going to put a knot in the end of the thread, and then for a French knot I'll just do it up in this corner. You come through your fabric. It is helpful to hold your fabric sort of on the table, or have it sort of held down. You can do just one knot, but I'll again do one twist. And if you are doing one twist, you're bringing your thread from under the needle over the needle, and so that it's then held down like that. But if you want to do multiple, you just sort of do that same motion, but always getting back to the point that your thread is pulled down below your needle. And you don't want to do it super tight, but you want to do it so that you can keep your loops on the needle, and then you need to take the needle back down through the hole that you came up, and you're going to hold on to the thread at the side to keep it taut, while you pull your needle down and through the fabric, and you keep hold of that other bit of thread, and you're just pulling, holding on to that other bit of thread right until the end, just so you get that really nice, neat little rosebud effect. Now, it's best to use a needle where the eye is not too big. So if I had have known I was doing a French knot, I probably wouldn't have used this needle, but you can still do it. But if you're starting out, try and use one with a head that is, not bigger than the actual needle itself. So again, if you're doing your French knot, you're coming from under the needle, putting a loop over, and however many you want to do. Let's say again, we wanted to do 3. And getting to the point where you're holding the thread down there, you're then angling your needle back into the hole that you've just come from. So if it comes undone like that, never mind. You just do that again, and then angling your needle back into the fabric through the hole, keeping hold of this bit in my left hand. So I like to anchor it down to the fabric, and then gently ease. And again, make sure it's not too tight. So when you're anchoring it down, you have to just sort of balance that anchoring it down, but not holding it super tight, and pull it through, and you'll get your lovely little French knot. So they're really nice for creating flowers. I'll show you what one that just has one loop around it looks like. So again, I've pulled my needle through with the thread, and I'm going to just do a single loop coming from below and over the needle. I'm then going to angle my needle back into that hole. I'm going to hold on to this thread, but not too tight, just enough to keep it taut, and I'm going to pull my thread through. So hopefully, if you haven't done a French knot before, hopefully that gives you what you need. Many of you will have done it, so you kind of turned off the video by now, but I'll just do one more. So that's a single loop one, and then just passing it, holding on to it, and pulling the thread through. I'm sure we'll get to French knots later on, but there's a little taster for you. And the good thing about French knots is they've generally formed a knot anyway, so they're not going to come out. So that is our blanket stitch with a French knot in the center. Now our next stitch will be, turning the page because we've already done our double stitch, we'll be doing blanket stitch detached, which almost look like little, I don't know, they almost look like bullion knots, but not quite. So that will be tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you. Take care, everyone. Bye.